Grief, a word so simple, yet it carries the weight of entire worlds collapsing. When it strikes, everything else falls silent. The noise, the distractions, the petty concerns of everyday life, they all vanish, leaving only the raw, unfiltered wound of loss. But what happens when that sacred wound, that private devastation, is no longer personal? When it's placed under the cold, merciless eye of a camera, dissected and broadcast to millions. That's exactly what happened with the tragedy of Garrison Brown. His death wasn't just the loss of a beloved son, a brother, a friend that became a spectacle. A storyline, a moment for ratings. And in that, something deeply unsettling unfolded before the eyes of the world. Garrison was more than just a name in the Sister Wives universe. He was a young man with promise, potential, and dreams yet to be lived. To lose him so suddenly was devastating. But to watch that devastation unfold on screen, not behind closed doors, not in the silence of family mourning, but through carefully framed shots and edited sequences, it struck a nerve that fans and critics alike can't shake off. 'Cause the Brown family wasn't grieving alone. They were grieving with all of us watching. The episode in question, the season's final chapter, was unlike anything Sister Wives has ever shown. Gone were the flashy previews, the petty arguments, the endless cycle of conflict and reconciliation. In their place was something heavy, something unshakable: silence. The family gathered in Wyoming, not for celebration, not for confrontation, but for farewell. Janelle was there, her children close by. Christine, too, stood by her side. Even Mary, often distanced from the others, returned to stand shoulder to shoulder with women who have shared both love and betrayal across decades. The house they stayed in, rumored to be a rented space, became a temporary sanctuary. Inside, there were no scripts, no orchestrated drama, just the muted sounds of grief. Eyes swollen from crying, voices low, movements careful as if even sound itself might shatter the fragile shield they were trying to hold around themselves. The children especially bore the kind of expression that no camera can fake. Hollowed, searching, disbelieving. They weren't part of a television scene. Were just trying to survive the unbearable. But then came the moment that froze everyone watching. The cameras shifted, the lens tightened. And there was Kody Brown, his hands on a shovel, his body laboring to dig the grave where his son's ashes would rest. A father who, for much of his son's life, seemed distant, unreachable, and at times, even indifferent, was now performing the final act of closeness. He was digging the very ground where his boy's memory would lie forever. The footage lingered, no quick cuts, no background chatter, just the metallic sound of shovel against dirt. The heaving breaths, the silence heavy enough to suffocate. Some viewers called it raw, some called it moving, but many called it something else, disturbing. Case, for as powerful as the image was, it also felt like a contradiction. Where was this father when Garrison was alive, when he needed love, understanding, and presence? And why in this final hour, with the cameras rolling, was he suddenly the central figure of grief? That paradox is what made the entire sequence so unbearable to watch. It wasn't just a man saying goodbye to his son. It was a man whose emotional absence in life now stood in haunting contrast to his physical labor in death. The image was powerful, yes, but it was also hollow. And as the music swelled, as the camera zoomed closer, it became clear that this wasn't just a family's tragedy. This was television. For many, the line was crossed. Reality TV has blurred countless boundaries before, but this was something different. Burying your own child broadcast to millions isn't content, sacred. And to watch it transformed into a scene for public consumption left audiences conflicted, even outraged. Was this vulnerability, or was it exploitation? Was it healing, or was it performance? As the credits rolled, no teasers followed. No next week on Sister Wives, just silence. A haunting final shot of a family splintered by years of conflict. Now bound, however, temporarily, by a grief too large to ignore. And as the screen went dark, one question remained in the minds of everyone watching. What exactly were we supposed to take from this? Was it a message about the cost of fame? A warning about how deeply reality television will dig literally into people's lives? Or was it perhaps a reckoning? A reckoning for Kody, for the family, for the network, and for us, the viewers, who for so long have consumed their lives as entertainment. The truth is, grief isn't content. It isn't storyline. It isn't a ratings boost. Grief is sacred. And when the world watched Kody Brown dig his son's grave, many felt that sacredness had been broken. Grief is not a performance. It is not a narrative arc. Cannot be scripted or edited into a storyline. Grief is sacred. 'Tis raw, ungoverned, private. And yet, in the season finale of Sister Wives, the sacred was not protected, was exposed. It was placed on display, framed, scored, and broadcast as if it were just another moment in a decade-long drama. And that's what left millions of viewers shaken, conflicted, and disturbed. Because this wasn't just another family dinner gone wrong or a shouting match over Coyote Pass. This was Kody Brown in television digging the grave for his own son. Let that sink in. A father, shovel in hand, sweat on his brow, cutting into the earth for the ashes of the child he had lost. A scene so heavy, so intimate that it should have been left unspoken, unseen, untouched by cameras. Instead, it became centerpiece television. And the world was left wondering, what were we meant to feel? Were we supposed to feel the raw sadness of a father finally showing love too late? Were we meant to read it as an act of redemption, a chance for Kody to rewrite the script, to reclaim a connection years in arrears? Or was it something more calculated? A staged portrait of concern, carefully filmed and edited to give the impression of closeness, remorse, and presence that so many fans say Kody never offered while Garrison was alive. Because for many, that's exactly how it landed. Not cathartic, not healing, but strange, jarring, almost performative. And for longtime fans, the feeling was hauntingly familiar. This wasn't the first time we had seen Kody Brown shovel in hand, burying something for the cameras. Some will remember the earlier seasons, the day Kody buried the family dog in the backyard. The moment was oddly emphasized, lingering on his role in laying the pet to rest. At the time, reactions were mixed. Some viewers found it touching. Others couldn't shake the sense that it was more about Kody's image than about grief. And now, years later, that déjà vu returned. Except this time, it wasn't a pet. It was his son. The gesture was the same. The framing was the same. But the stakes, the emotional weight, were infinitely heavier. Still the same discord rang through. Was this genuine? Or was it the spotlight once again hijacking grief for the sake of optics? A father accused time and again of emotional detachment, now at the center of the most emotionally charged farewell imaginable. And it's not that Kody shouldn't mourn. Of course he should. He lost his son. No one is denying the right of a parent to grieve. The discomfort lies in this. That morning was filmed, edited, and sold as entertainment. That the act of laying a child to rest became footage for a season finale. And what makes it more difficult to swallow is the actual history between Kody and Garrison. This wasn't a father who had been deeply close, who had been consistently present. This was a father and son who had clashed, who had hurt one another. Distance had become painfully obvious both on-screen and behind the scenes. Garrison wasn't a background extra. He was a son who carried hurt. A young man who spoke out about the very exploitation of the show, who criticized how sister wives turned their family struggles into profit. And now his final chapter, his farewell, was being packaged, edited, and broadcast to millions. It felt cruelly ironic. Almost as if the very thing he had rejected in life was now swallowing his memory in death. Fans couldn't unsee it. They couldn't ignore the contradiction. His voice, often minimized while alive, was now silenced. And yet his story was being consumed more than ever. That's why this wasn't just about Kody. This was about the toll of reality TV itself. The way cameras creep into moments that should remain untouched. The way editors cut sacred silence into content. The way grief is transformed into a cliffhanger. And the way audiences, we, the viewers, become complicit. Because, let's be honest, how many of us sat watching with a lump in our throat, maybe even tears in our eyes, but also with that sickening sense that we were intruding? How many of us kept watching anyway, unable to look away, even as we knew deep down, this should not be on television? It's that feeling, that knot in the stomach that was your conscience whispering, some things must remain holy. And this should have been one of them. What made the episode even more unsettling was the silence before it. No teaser, no flashy preview, no next week on Sister Wives, just quiet. TLC knew what they had. They knew this wasn't business as usual. They didn't dress it up because they didn't have to. And in that silence, before the grave digging even began, viewers already knew they were about to cross a line with the Browns that could never be uncrossed. 'Cause, in the end, the question wasn't whether Kody loved his son. The question was, why did we have to see it? Why was the most sacred moment of a father's life carved into footage for us to consume? And what does that say not only about the network, but about us, the audience, that keeps tuning in? Why was this one moment handled so differently by a network that usually thrives on pushing every emotional button? Was it a conscious decision to avoid backlash? Or did the family themselves set a boundary around Garrison's death, one that even TLC couldn't cross? This wasn't just another family drama. It was raw, painful, and real, in a way that went beyond the usual reality TV formula. Maybe TLC recognized that to sensationalize it would have been tacky. But their muted handling raised new questions. It felt as if the network was tiptoeing, trying to tell an important chapter in the Brown story without crossing the line into outright exploitation. Some viewers believe the line was crossed already. Others saw the subdued tone as a quiet acknowledgement that not every tragedy should be treated as television content. But even the choice to weave it into the season without fanfare sent its own message. This grief was too much. Even for a show built on exposing family struggles, was TLC finally listening to what fans and even Christine and Janelle have said for years? That not everything in this family belongs in the public domain? Or was this simply damage control? A fear that spinning a young man's death into a storyline would backfire? And that's the larger issue. Gwen Brown has already spoken out, saying the children who grew up on Sister Wives were never paid, even while their most private and traumatic moments were aired for millions. She described manipulative, producer tactics, emotional ambushes, staged confrontations, scenes designed to explode on camera. So when the network suddenly goes quiet around Garrison, it doesn't feel like compassion. It feels like calculation, because Garrison was not a storyline. It was a son, a brother, a man who found peace in caring for animals. His family honored him not through ratings but through kindness, dedicating an adoption room at High Country Humane in his name. That was his true legacy: love, gentleness, and dignity. Something no television edit could ever capture. And that's the contrast. TLC packaged heartbreak into entertainment. His family gave him grace. The question we're left with is simple. At what point does reality TV stop being storytelling and start being exploitation? Garrison deserves to be remembered not as content, but as someone who left the world better than he found it. That is the story worth telling.